Hi, Aries. All right, happy New Year, Aries. Happy 2023, or whenever you find this. All right, so a few little things. We're gonna look over. We have a card. Excuse me. We have a card as an overall energy, which will also match or connect to some words that came. There's a challenge card we'll look at, and then we'll go month to month. These are a little bit longer this year. It seems to be. I can't confine the energy or hurry it. So I will also be time stamping them just to make it easier for you later if you want to reference. I was also wearing all orange, red, like a burnt sienna kind of color for you. Not red as a primary juvenile color, right? But orange, deeper. When you mix orange and red, pretty much is the color I was wearing for you. But it felt too much. I guess we had to add green. So I guess we're also talking about sacral and root chakra, heart chakra. For some reason, also, I was thinking about poetry with you before. This is actually the third time I tried to record your reading, so maybe the number 3. A lot of the signs throughout the zodiac this year have received averagely about 3 majors apiece, which is the Empress. So this is also connected to you, but your other readings, the first time around was hard, it seemed challenging. So I gave it some space, and I didn't stress about it. And then that kind of floated away, and then I tried again, and it was sort of a similar energy, but we could look at it differently. Maybe that's what this year kind of is where it's not exactly I feel like for most of you, it's not this ultimate brand new year. You could have new things in ways of people, places, and things. But I think it's more of, home is home, husband is husband, wife is wife, child is child, job is job, right? Wake up, go to sleep. These kinds of things are always sort of the same, right? But they've changed as we grow. So I did want to read you this. It says, your daily life, this is Khalil Gibran, the prophet. It says, your daily life is your temple and your religion. Wherever you enter into it, whenever. Let's read that again. Your daily life is your temple and your religion. Whenever you enter into it, take with you your all. And if you would know God, be not therefore a solver of riddles. Rather look about you, and you shall see him playing with your children. Look into space and see, you shall see him walking in the cloud, or outstretching his arms in the lightning and descending in the rain. You shall see him smiling in flowers, and then rising and waving his hands in the trees. It's actually very suiting for the Saturn through Aquarius. Is this connection back to spirit, back to nature, if you want to. Maybe this is also coming back into the purity of your own nature. I also see that, especially with that 3, There could be something strong about your ancestors, particularly, or family, particularly females. These are general, so it can go either way, but I see that the females in your family line being very important. Maybe you're connecting with them more, or figuring out more about that. Okay. Let's look at your overall energy. I actually want to start at 5:40. Aries. Okay, I knew this was going to happen. So, this year, there's going to be times throughout this year where you have to say to yourself, this is only a test. This is only a test. You know how they have that on the radio? It'll be like, burp, 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 burp. This really jarring sound that throws you off for a second, and then it's like, you think something crazy is going to happen. That's what it's supposed to be, but it's like, nah, this is just a test. Don't worry about it. And you can just change the station. Okay? Now, I would say I wouldn't ignore it, as this isn't so literal. We're being metaphorical here. This means in some senses there's an internal process of learning that has to do with your own mental state. Now, the North Node will be in your sign. The South Node will be in your opposite sign, Libra. So, for all folks with South Node in Libra, in my perspective, it means that there will be relationships, connections to certain things, especially where it's one-on-one, where there can be loss there, or where we have to let go. I mean, it could just be a perspective of how we perceive our relationships. And maybe if one has the patience, I know, right? We've been talking about patience with you. Maybe we were building up to this, but like having the patience to be like, okay, people are who they are, and you, wherever you have, and you allow others to make their own mistakes, to let go of control, to these kinds of things, then the loss is going to be more of where it's like you lose the suffering that you've been was like hanging on to you, you know, versus losing it physically, because what we actually have here is the 5 of Swords for your overall. Capricorn's reading will also be very helpful. You're recorded one after the other. So 5 of Swords is also, how am I seeing this? Maybe this is also working through if any of you have ever lost a child. Or maybe it's where you even lost like when you were really little. And I need you to remember there was a time that you were surrounded and supported, and only love was all around you. Protection, nurture, care, appreciation, all of this. There are times, but there was a time. I don't know what's going on with this. Hold on. Oh, this is like when, like the tooth fairy too, like where you, I saw someone when they tie the little string on their tooth and they tie it to the door, and then they have their brother or their sister like slam the door, right? But we have to let go. And actually you and Capricorn being the really heavy in the maturity, the maturation of self to understand letting go. Right? I am and I build. Aries and Capricorn. So This is only a test. Oh, okay. That's where we start. Since this year is already showing this, and again, this is third time, I wasn't trying to like make it be like, ooh, I'm gonna only put a positive spin on this, and it could be the worst thing ever, and try to be positive. I mean, that's possible, but we have to be realistic with Saturn, with Pluto and Capricorn. We have to be aware in this time of our own value, of risk and gain, what that means, of what is the time and place to speak, and how to have that conversation, whether it's happy or sad. So during this year, when it gets to one of those things where it's like, boopy boop, this is only and you're like, again, and it goes, this is only a test. You're gonna worry, because that's it's actually helpful. So the arrogance isn't built as well, and patience is had, right? So, it's humbling the soul, I guess, in a way. So the point of the story, Aries, is that you want to look at when you get stressed, when it seems little, and this is more internal. I don't even think, for most of you, the physical world is actually having any kind of major shift. It's the way you're perceiving it or the way you're interacting with it. Okay, there could be changes again, but again, it's like home, family, work, others, these basic things that you do and been doing for, I don't know, 50 years, 5 years, however long, So you say to yourself, what is the worst case scenario right now? Because that's what, if you stress, that's where you're going, is you're projecting. It is anxiety projected all the way to a place that only God can see. And you may not even be looking in the right direction. Because when Aries becomes scared, you're no longer the ram, you're the little lamb that gets lost. Right? And that's why lambs need shepherds, to herd them back in so that they know that they are safe. Right? Vesta could also be helpful, that the donkey protects the lambs. So you go to worst case scenario, sure, you want to go there, what is it? Okay, and then go best case scenario. Come all the way back and surround yourself again with that love, with that support, with that, all the things that you think that aren't possible or you don't feel. It will shift it. You are smart enough, and I see you're smart enough now to be able to adjust this knob a little bit more versus blowing your top, or especially in that emotional space, right? You gotta let it out once in a while. Capricorn's reading will be very helpful. Let's see. Somebody else mentioned that a bit, where it's kind of like their overall was a little bit of a challenge. Let's see what your challenge is. Okay, the Empress. So you have a major in your challenge, which Virgo did also. They were the other sign. And there's that 3 we were talking about. So for some of you, this is about a loss of a child. It could have been a miscarriage that you had. That somebody had. It could have been someone in the family. I guess it could be, there could be, with Saturn moving through, Saturn will be invisible from now until April. And so because of that, it's also a time where old things may go, or we're going to, Saturn rules time, so I suppose for you also in Capricorn, I guess this is a collective energy, but there could be people in your family that passed this year. Those that are old, it's not like something, generally I don't see, this is general. If we're not talking about this so literally, although I feel that way, although it doesn't have fear in it, it's like just an awareness here. Because it could have been somebody who passed in your family before that doesn't have anything to do with now, and that's what you could be working through, or the undercurrent of what you're working through this year. Or if any of you have worked through like family dynamics where you know it was unhealthy and you had to separate from your family or make boundaries, your mother, your whoever this, whatever, it's the stage of it. Either way, it's finding your way back to some kind of awareness. This could also be where your family members are getting older, and there could just be an awareness like, oh, okay, they're getting up there. Like, I better let go of that hatred, or let go of that fear, or let go of that judgment, or just, it's like water under the bridge. Okay, there's a deep layer here. Now, of course, depending on how far you've come down this path, we could see where the challenge is something that actually is really beautiful, and it doesn't matter what's happening, whether you gain or lose in this present moment, you feel strong and fulfilled and safe and loved and protected. You also have support when you need it, and you can't find that in yourself. Okay. Interesting. So very mature year for you. You have to remember that. So the age of 53. Guess that could be 3 to 5 years ago, something like that too. Let's see about January. So let's start at 17. January for Aries. Okay. Two of Wands here. Just a second. What's your favorite number? What's your favorite number? Okay, since this is we started out kind of intense there, right? And thank you for being mature to Matt, right? Manua. 5, 6, 7, 8. So let's start on the surface, right? Let's start simply. Take this really big thing, this whole year, right? And let's make the big thing really small. That could also be another exercise for you this year when you get overwhelmed with something. You start, again, projecting too far. I want you to make it as little as how can you make it smaller? Because, let's see here. Well, let's talk about what's going on in this card. You can't really tell if he's facing. You can't really tell which way this person's looking. You're like, is it coming towards me? Is it going away from me? There's questions here. But it is very centered. This is a very balanced, it's so centered that, again, you can't tell kind of which way is which. It's like almost too balanced for you, because all fire signs like a little bit of conflict, especially cardinal signs like a little bit of adjustment, because if it gets, your fixed signs are next to you. So when you start to feel like it's too, you're like, oh my God, is the mechanism stuck? How do I shift it? And it's like, well, maybe in those moments it would be more of, how do you calm yourself by not knowing the answer? Find the creativity, Empress, in that, right? Two of Wands is usually looking, let's say traditionally speaking, this is also looking It's understanding your power of choice. It is also like it's looking at what is possible and how that affects the whole world. Now, for some of you, you could be looking at your own choices via the state of the world. I would be cautious in your own unconscious blockings of blessings in that way. Like, oh, I can't buy a house, it's too expensive, or oh, I can't have kids. It's you know, like the state, whatever the thing is where you're like, I can't because of the world. Again, no need to block yourself. That's because that's fear that would be stopping you, not actually practicality. I mean, you want to look at the whole picture, right? You don't want to move to the middle of a war zone or something like that. No, be aware of what's going on, but don't be afraid of where you are and question too much whether, you know, you are loved. I would also look back, starting this year, just to kind of, because we talked about some stuff there prior. Be aware of this, about 20 minutes in. Just sit with that part of this reading. Maybe it would be a good time to actually pause after we mentioned this other exercise and achieve them, and then come back to this and then work, because it may be too much all at once, right? Again, you got to break things down smaller, Aries, so you don't, so it doesn't feel so overwhelming. Okay, so another exercise here I could see is, especially in January, whenever you find this, is to look back over the last, well, I see 2 years and then 20 years. Maybe you could go back to when you were 22. I would also say they're looking back to 30, 33 years could also be helpful. That'll teach you about what Saturn's doing for you now. It's going through the same space and time. Again, it's like we've already been here. This is the Chariot year. It's a 7. We've already been here, done that. However, whatever. So it's like, how are we going to do it now, right? It's like one of those paintings where you can't quite tell whether it's a sunrise or a sunset, right? It's like this twilight. It's a little bit twilight. So you could consider what your choices are in January, but I would probably hold off for a second, at least a couple months. I would also see where you're burning a hole in your own pocket financially, and or where your tendency is. Maybe some of you have to sacrifice a little bit of comfort also this year. That could be part of your test, but you're not meant to do it to hurt yourself. It's not about that. I'm talking about, there's so many layers to that sentence. It doesn't have to be ultimately physical. Again, it's more of a mentality. I would also look over your finances. Maybe you want to see, especially if say financially you are working, you have other people providing in that place. It's like, look to, I don't know, maybe how much money you made over the last few years, right? Or how much money you have in savings, or what is the combination, or how much money did you spend and on what, right? That could help you a little bit to adjust, so you can understand maybe that you have a lot more than you think that you do. Make you feel a little bit more centered and confident. Okay, this is also understanding, like, oh, okay, if I didn't have this, who and what could I lean on? Because of course you have this support and this love that's all around you. Okay. I love you, Aries. Let's do 2520. So you actually have 2 cards here for February. The first card that showed itself is the card of peace. Here's another 2. What's the second one? Oh, and the High Priest. Wow. So some of you got married. Some of you, this is somebody's anniversary, maybe. Oh, part of the forgiveness also, again, is like, this year has to do with, again, it's like making peace with your family, making peace with the father of your children, whether you're together or not, the mother of your children. It is making peace with your mom, making peace with your dad, just finding more peace, finding versus like, oh, I don't have that person in my life anymore, especially if any of you who have gone through a loss of, again, like a grandparent or somebody that was really important to you, whether it goes, they went to heaven or they're just not in your life anymore, that connection, whatever it is, this heart space. It's like there's still, there's no separation of that, right? Anybody who has ever passed over, and I actually get obsessed with this because a person came into my life that actually died and then came back. And he said that there was no fear there. There was no worry. There was no questions. There was no unanswered places. It was purely just peace. So maybe it's also just looking at your own mortality in a way, in finding a little bit more with that. You know, that's why a lot of cultures meditate. Not only to bring peace in themselves and become closer to spirit, but to prepare themselves for the transition of this to that. You know, in these little tiny ways, from this task to that task, or from this life to the next life, however you want to look at it. I do also see that if you do have children, if you are married, things like this, and you are going through any troubling times. This could also be, again, if you're single and this is like a family dynamic you're going through, it could be very helpful this year for you to have counseling, to maybe some kind of help or like mediator that could ensure that things are more settled and feel more steady. You know, if you can't seem to find the peace on your own, right, and you can't push it yourself, then, or you've been trying and you've gotten to this place and you're like, okay, I've gotten as far as I can go, I need help here. That could also be a part of it, is where you learn to ask, like, do where you need to do, and then ask for help in ways of your partner, in ways of other people in your life, and figure out who it is that you can trust. You know what I mean? It reminds me of the magnetic pulse reading that we did recently. Okay, let's go back up. So this is a very quiet mind. I would also say that if you feel like you're having a hard time communicating, or you're wanting more peace in your relationships, another way you can go about it yourself is where you fast and pray. Okay, and I see Wednesdays and Fridays, let's say until, you know, from when you wake up until like supper time or so. Depends where you live, what time supper is, but let's say about, you know, when the sun's getting about to its setting stage, don't eat any food in between. You can drink water if you want to, or have a liquid, but try that twice a week. This could even just be like a yearly thing to help you keep your mind in order and be more in tune with your body also. You know, we think sometimes like, oh, suffering makes me feel better. Not having something will make me feel better. And it's like, yeah, it'll bring you closer. This could also be a nice time to renew your vows. If you are married, this could also be renewing or your vows in ways of like what you want to Like, what are the contracts with yourself? You know what I mean? I would say there could be a little, how do I explain that? Whenever you need help, it's right there. You need advice, it's there. You need counsel, it's there. You need a mediator, that's there. You need a lawyer, that's there. You need whatever it needs. It could also be helpful if you're trying to make these double twos, trying to make any big decisions, especially in however this goes. It may be helpful for you to have an outside opinion some way, somehow, just to make sure that you are seeing the forest for the trees, because there's an undercurrent here of what's going on that is a little bit more in, I think, subconsciously in worrier versus warrior. And something to be aware of there. Okay, oh, and that's a major. Okay, I like that the high, and then the Empress. Okay. This is also making peace with God, if there's any place that you are mad at him, too. Let's see, March. So March, we have Valor. We have the 7 of Wands. So we go from the 2 to the 7. So wherever it was that it felt a little stiff, now you feel stronger, okay? You got both feet on the ground here. This is feeling more passionate about your relationships. It is, it's showing your strength in a good way. It's also showing, it's making good example for others also in your own actions, okay? It's more where actions speak louder than words at this time as well. If we go into the traditional with this card, where it's kind of like, where at times this could be a little bit where a person's on the defense. If this is somebody else in your life, remember, you allow others to be whoever it is that they are. Like, understand how strong they are. Or if you can feel like, oh, they're weak. Well, I guess you want to ask yourself, why don't you believe that they can find their own power? And if for any reason it was literal, where you had to go save somebody, you could. You have the energy to do it. But I guess part of how you find that courage or find that energy in and of yourself, this could also be people in your life that you respect in the way, in what they do, in their actions, and you feel confident to where they don't drain your energy, you know. You find this via finding your own center. And I guess this is also kind of a time to maybe reserve your energy a little bit, especially when it comes to other people. Maybe that's why you're not supposed to rush into other people and try to go save and do all this kind of projection, like where the your inner child wasn't saved some way or loved some way. So, you know, this can be easily projected onto our family or friends or whatever, you know, like this, I heard worry wart kind of energy. So watch that, because from now until September, you're gonna need your strength this year. And this has a lot to do with your bodily energy. It also has to do with your, like, it's the energy in your body. It's the kind of the flow or the frequency of what's going on inside of you. Okay, so yeah, Hawk. Let's see, April. 5 of Wands. Okay. Hawk is strong. Okay. So we have another 5. This matches the overall energy. Okay, this is your birthday, right? So 5 of Wands to me is overcoming a challenge. There could also be a creative endeavor that you've been working on, or something that you have been putting your time and energy into that you could share with the world now. It's like there could be an opening where it's like, okay, here, now you could actually, if you've been taking appropriate like action in certain ways, then this, you can actually gain from that. If you do have children, I guess we come back up a little bit, children, other people, there could be something where it could be a little bit difficult, or there's a little bit of friction. So don't expend, again, your energy unnecessarily, because it's almost like recognizing that the stress that you feel never has to really do with anybody else. The stress, the anger, the loneliness, your peace, your love, any of it, it doesn't really have to do with any other humans. What did it say in the beginning? When we read Khalil Gibran, that has to do with these 5s. Since you had a lot of energy prior, it could be where something could slow you down a little bit. This goes back into January, where it's kind of like, it may be hard to tell whether it's coming from you or towards you. If that's the case, if you can't be definitive, and whether something is from you or toward you, you can't figure out where it's coming from, then don't make any major decisions. Don't be risky. Don't be impulsive. Don't randomly sleep with that person. Don't scold your children. You'll scold your children too harshly. You'll be impatient, things like that. Don't do that, please. No, you'll regret it. Remember, if and when you ever get stressed, tired, lonely, all these things, you feel low, you got to ask yourself, hi, Zumi. You got to ask yourself, am I hungry? Am I tired? Just like a kid, All kids, for instance, late afternoon, late afternoon, they all get cranky. Or before they're about to go to bed, or before they need a nap, they're always cranky. Right? They get emotional, they get impulsive, all this. So remember to ask yourself that too. I would also say, in ways of creative energy, remember there is a flow to it, right? Creative energy is like water. It's not necessarily fire. So that could also be something to be aware of, if you don't have the, I keep splitting this tower. Remember, you can't push things this year. I guess that's the point too. It wouldn't be wise for you to push anything. It's kind of like being more in the flow of it. And I know that these words, hoid to whatever they are, but you know what I'm saying. It's not flowing where your eyes are closed and you're going down the river and there's a waterfall coming. I'm not talking about that, like giving up. It's about surrendering to whatever it is when you come to it, so that you recognize again, like your happiness, your flow, your anything, that's you. It isn't any other human. Okay? This is powerful though. But again, don't push it. Let's see May. There we go. Here's some earth. So we have the Six of Pentacles. This card says well-being. Good. Hold on a second. All right, so let's go into some basic things. Your diet, your day, you want to watch your day-to-day routine here. Okay? You want to pay attention to your own well-being. Right? What do they say? If you don't care about yourself, you can't care about anybody else. Easy. You're all burnt out, all stressed out. You're not going to be a good mom. You're not going to be a good wife. You're not going to be a good husband. You know what I mean? Good mom, good, whatever. It doesn't, good employee. Right? So take care of yourself. I feel like some of you, it would be helpful for you to wake up before the crows, like wake up early. And maybe this is also taking like an appropriate lunch break or like an appropriate break. I would also say it would be best for most of you, and I know it would be best for most of you to be done with work, done with the day-to-day at least by 6 p.m. I wouldn't push any more than that. You know, maybe it's one of those things, some of you are working too late or you're putting in extra hours, or it could also be where you're stressing about work or money or bills or whatever. If, for instance, again, the mind is going too fast, it's like, well, maybe you want to go over how much money you have or what the possibilities are, maybe even looking to what is really positive that's going on right now. Right, we go from a 5 to a 6. You have a lot of 11s here. So 11 to me, I guess, is we're talking about balance. This also relates to the circles that you're a part of. That could also be something. Maybe some of you, for your own well-being, maybe it would be helpful for you to join a group that could be something that helps you to feel more centered. Could also say a little bit of exercise, dancing, again, diet. Just look at your real basic stuff, and I feel like you'll be centered with that. Let's keep moving forward. Let's see June. We'll do the timestamps later. We got the King of Swords, which is intuition. Capricorn actually had this in January. So 6 months prior, you have it in June. Very interesting. This is actually beautiful. This matches Gemini energy, and the month before this, well-being, is Earth and Taurus energy, which that's, mind you, that 6 of Earth is also when Jupiter moves forward. So there is everything starts to line up, right? Now June, so your mind is very clear here, right? This is a very decisive person. They're very intelligent. They can look to the past and they're not emotionally affected by it. Like, it doesn't overwhelm their judgment. Do you know what I mean? They're not making emotional judgments about things. They're making logical judgments about things. You know, you can't put your own spin on it, like your own worry or feeling around it if you want to be a good judge of something. Right? You have to look at the facts and figures. if your intuition could be very clear and very strong in this time. If for some reason this is not you, this is air people in your life, this is also, again, where you could receive counsel to help you to understand. I also feel like you were already aware, probably for the last year or so, something like that, you're aware of something. Maybe you've been preparing in some way because you didn't want to put yourself in a position. I guess this is also a good time to prepare yourself so that you don't put yourself in a position in the future and you're ready, right? Maybe for some of you, this is about writing your will, or it's about, you know, like being, you know, if you've also been hoping for something to come to fruition or finally be like definitive, this could be a good time for that. Remember, what you eat, right? You are what you eat. And you are who you're around, right? Like, what does Erykah Badu say? She's like, you know, I pick my friends like I pick my fruit. My granny told me that when I was only a youth, right? So remember, one bad apple spoils the whole bunch. So you want to be aware of cutting out also what is no longer necessary for you. Here is also seeing the hand of God in the lightning that's coming from the sky, right? Or in the way the wind blows the trees. So maybe you also want to look back over the last 6 months and just be aware of, I don't know, what has happened or where you trusted yourself, where you, because I keep seeing someone say, like, I knew it, I knew it. Okay, let's keep going. Let's see July. Oh, beautiful. We have the Princess of Earth. We got a bull there in the background, so we go back to Taurus energy. So good. So when the Earth shows up, it's very positive. I like that. So this woman is spinning, right? This reminds me, part of the reason I pulled out that Khalil Gibran book is because I thought of the poem about the white thread and the black thread, right? When something snaps or breaks, or you're in the middle of something and it doesn't work, if you will, it's like when my sewing machine, for instance, the tension gets off. There's 2 points that are trying to come together to be perfect, right? But one's a little bit longer than the other one. Maybe this is sun moon energy too, but either way, it's like I have to unthread and take everything, remove everything. And then I go through and I examine all the way to see if there's any, is there a bunch of dust in there? Is it all crammed in there? Is there a knot in this thread? You know? Does this look straight? And then I re-thread everything. And then I start at 0. And I keep tweaking the knob just a little bit. Oh, this is so awesome. It actually lines up with Cancerian energy, like this zigzag. It's then you start turning the knob just a little tiny bit at a time. And when you do, then you start to realize, okay, you look at the top and you look at the bottom. When they both line up, so they're exactly the same, then you know your tension is right. Then you know you can go from this point and kind of keep it flowing, okay? You can just go without questioning it because you just fixed it. At least for a while, because after you use things, energy, time, money, you have to go back in and see what you're working with, right? Things get a little loose, things get a little tight, things get a little jammed up. Remember also your like how much you have grown, okay? And then remember that your growth or your healing or your ability to possess, like, to be true, where things move smoothly, has something to do with Scorpio. This keeps coming too. Little wheel, spin and spin. Big wheel, turn around and around. Maybe some of you musicians also, if you have a creative project, there could be a lot of growth in that. Maybe some of you also, you jump from the 6 to the princess, which this card's also about learning. I would also say that your hair, someone has really long, like, beautiful hair. Someone's also not afraid here. They're comfortable. Like their belief, their ability to believe that they can learn or they are learned, like the belief of being strong in your belief. But it's not strong as in like masculine energy. It's strong like a knowing. You know what I mean? Like you walk with purpose. You speak from your heart. This is also creating from the heart space. I also say getting out in nature could be very helpful for you to center. What are you doing on the side also that has nothing to do with work or family or what have you, that is purely like your own creation? You know, it just feels good. You're not trying to like make it into something else. It's just when you're in it, it feels really good, and you allow yourself some time, yeah, to be a part of that. Because if you actually do and you practice, or wherever you've been practicing, this could actually be something where some of you are advancing in a talent that you have, or you're finally going to put your creation some way, somehow, whatever you've been putting energy and time into, out into the world. And where it could be something where maybe it's like one of the talents that God gave you, and you realize that, and it helps you to find more of, I don't know, where you're supposed to be or what to create in this life. Maybe it's just feeling better about what you're creating. Do you know what I mean? Like, I guess this could go into a bit of where it feels more purposeful. I would also say this is art that is also creation, that is also practical, right? It's not just for the enjoyment of, like, the pleasure of the eyes. That's a part of it, but it's more of, like, it's practical, it's usable. It's more Capricornian, you know, where you're like, oh, this has multi-purposes to it. Okay, let's see. August 3, 13, 16. Okay, we have another 7 here. So we're mirroring up into Pisces time. This card says uncertainty. So Venus is in retrograde in this time, so it could very well be where some of you don't. It's in Leo too, which is a trine to you, so it could be a very easy energy for you to, excuse me, you know, if something was untrue before, if you couldn't trust it before, you can't trust it now. Okay, if anything comes into your life in this time where it feels too good to be true, then it most likely is. If I would say it would also be wise to how do I explain this? I guess this could not be trusting other people in your heart. With Venus in retrograde also, I would say that it would be wise to, just as a little side note, don't make any big purchases. This is not a time to get married. It's not a time to propose. It's not a time to start dating. I mean, I guess you could, but like the latter of that, but you really don't want to. It's not the best time. I wouldn't make any major purchases or definitive decisions in this time, okay? Especially having to do with the heart or having to do with love, or, it could also be where you could just be questioning whether you are loved in this time. You could be like, I don't know if they love me, or like, I don't know if you may not think that someone thinks you're attractive, or something like this. It's like all in your head. It's all in someone's head, the uncertainty. Now, I suppose whatever uncertainty does come, though, be conscious of it, because I guess there could be a potency to understanding something there. This could also be where some of you, we just talked about all that creative energy, right? And then it could be like, say you made a bunch of things, or you put a bunch of time into something, and then you're like, well, I see, don't scrap it. Exactly. You know what I mean? Because it could be one of those things where someone made like I'm seeing like someone made a bunch of sweaters or something, or like clothes, and then they're like, oh, these are so stupid. I can't believe I made this. And you just like throw it away. Like, don't do that. No. I would, again, don't scrap anything. Don't start anything, really, in this time. All right, that's all we need to say about that. Let's see September. Oh, another 7, 777. So this is the 7 of Earth. This card says delay on it. So I guess there's patience needed in August. There's patience needed in September. There will also be patience needed October, till the end of the year. Basically from August to the end of the year, there's an extra test of patience, just so you know. 77, 777. What's that, 21? 2 5s. Okay, so if you're a single person, this could be a hard year for you to date. Okay, just to let you know. Not saying it's not possible, just a little bit. Don't despair about that if you are in singleness. Maybe it would be one of those things where you get in a relationship in 2 years. If you are married, there could be test of, again, whether there needs to be some kind of adjustment. I would look at how many years you are in a relationship with whatever you're connected to. This could be the years you've known your whoever. Look at the years of that, because that will help you to understand the flow of things, right? Sometimes we have to make a new contract, again, with what we're working with, and everybody has their ups and downs, right? So other people are really highlighted here. Let's see what this delay is talking about. Well, maybe you're meant to continue to work on something. Ooh, there's that 21, the World. Maybe you're needing to continue to work on something. What's the song? Lady, lay. Okay. Remember, if you ever get overwhelmed, especially if you got a lot going on with other people and all this stuff, you got to quiet your mind, Aries. Ask for patience. Because this could very well be although this is your reading, another sub-layer of this is where this is other people in your life, you know? And for some of you, you have people in your life that are not honest and they need to go. There are people who won't step up and won't get on the horsey and do what they need to do, and those need to go. There are people that you're always just having a fight with, and that needs to go if for some reason it cannot be acknowledged and adjusted, you know? Now the cool thing is there are resolves for problems, but it could be one of those things where again there is like a delay, or you know, again, don't give up on something because you're afraid or impatient. Okay, sometimes what we want as an individual, even when we think it comes from a heart space, it can be very egotistical. Right? I want, I think, I feel, that iPhone, iPad, I. The world is full of ego. Right? Why do you think Macintosh uses an apple with a bite out of it? They know it's sinful to be that I. Right? That it even hurts just saying it too much. So I would also use words like we. Use words like I see, are you okay? Is there anything I can do for you? I guess strength and victory, and love and the star, and lovers and the justice card is expressing like I see beautiful, healthy, soothing energy and relationships in your life. And again, this is a 7 year. You have the most sevens out of anyone. And your opposite Libra had the Chariot in their overall energy. So I would suggest love, strength, the strength of love. So if this is other, I guess you want to confirm with yourself, keep confirming. Right, you do what you can, but there are going to be times with other people in your life that you have to just be like, hands off. Everybody is just in control of their own karma, Aries. You, like Scorpio, are the same, where you feel like you need to go in and correct people's karma. But sometimes in that, you can make more trouble. My buddy used to call it borrowing trouble. It's like, just, if it's not your deal, stay out of it, okay? This could be drama, whatever. Again, trying to get somebody up on the horse, trying to whatever. It's like, just chill. And speaking of that, let's go to October. We have the rest card, the Four of Swords, 2345. 2, 3, 4, 5. So, this is happy opposite birthday. So this is a card of, again, rest, right? It is a card of, the last time we had air was 4 months ago, which actually here we have our 4, which was, remember, the King, the intuition card, right? The King of Swords. So maybe this is a place where you finally make your, like, come to some sort of peace about something, or some kind of acceptance about something also. This is a place where a person's It's quiet here, right? Oh, I see too. From May, 6 months forward, right? We're getting in this October time here where we are now. This is also when a lot of planets, stars are in retrograde. So with that, again, you have tests in air and earth. Air and earth. So Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, Capricorn, Virgo, Taurus. These ones you're meant to have patience with and confidence, okay? Not pushing confidence, it's allowing things to be. You also go from the 5, and now we have the 4, so there's some kind of the overall energy or lesson this year with that 5 of Swords. It's like you already have the truth. You already have the truth within you. I would say this is a time to be quiet too. Right, when we're talking, we're not listening. You can't hear or feel really when you're talking. Right, so take some quiet. This is also a very nice time. It's an emphasis of praying and fasting, things like that. I would say actually whenever you're frustrated or things going on with other people or your connection with that is frustrating, please fast and pray. You have one of the strongest powers of prayer, Aries. Because your ruler is unpredictable, right? Your energy kind of is unpredictable in a way. So when you come to have yourself, you understand you can be more predictable in your own energy, like in the way that works, then you become more peaceful in your soul. Your relationships with your lover is better. Your relationships with your children is more fun. Like you're not so mad at yourself anymore. I would also say, since there is a little bit of, and I feel like the interaction that's a little challenging in other people has to do with like intimate partnerships again, family, lover, children, things like that. I feel like the money situation is fine. Maybe some of you don't, there isn't a whole bunch of it, but you're abundant, right? It's like it's steady there. So this is, again, if there's this interruption with others, it's like, again, what are you creating on your own? Please watch Capricorn's reading. Let's go to November 28. Let's do 28:45. So we have Temperance. Now we have one more major. Beautiful. So now we have 3 majors. So well, this is Sagittarian energy. Let's see. Oh, I never noticed this before. Look, it doesn't say temperance. It says temper and then rare. Temper and rare. So to temper something, it's to balance it, right? Oh, there's a beautiful, there's a rare, it's like a precious energy in someone. In this card, she's also sort of spinning in a way. She's creating energy in and of herself, which then starts showing, something starts showing on the outside. This is pointing up until June. And your birthday next year. Okay? So from this point, you actually want to look a year ahead. I would also look 6 months behind and 1 year ahead. Okay? Temperance does represent trying something new. Virgo also talked about this. Remember, they're the other one that had a major in their challenge, so that could be something that could help you too. I guess whatever energy that was kind of like, again, a little slow, a little because it's mellow here, which is good. You kind of need that because it will make you feel more steady. This gives you an opportunity for things to start moving again, right? The last fire that you had was in your birthday. So that's about 6 months ago. So now we have fire again. Maybe that's what made it sort of like you to get uncertain, or you to feel like, is it too, again, like we said in the beginning, is it too, is it moving? It's too stagnant. It's like, you know, peace is uncomfortable to the human. Silence is uncomfortable to the human. So this could also be, I see a continuation of your creation. You have the High Priestess here. This card actually of creativity. They're making pottery there out of the clay. And then we have the King of Pentacles, the King of Earth, which represents, says conception. So there could be, I guess you could conceive something creatively in this time. Oh, I forgot to mention that. If any of you are single and you're still at the age where you could get pregnant, if you're just purely dating or like loose about it, I would really think, like, would you marry this person? Could you see them as the father or the mother of your children? Really be conscientious to who you connect your body with that way. Because it could be where some of you, and I know we're talking to a lot of people, but it could be where some of you you could end up becoming pregnant with somebody's child. And whether you decide to, whatever you decide to do with that, it causes pain and loss. So, like suffering, some way, somehow, like maybe in the long term, I don't know. So just be conscientious of that, okay? Now, I see you being quiet and creating with yourself. You remember, the energy that you put into something when you're creating, the intention behind it, the feeling behind it, that is what it shows. It matters so much. Some of you also need to believe more. This could be a question where you're like, I don't know, like, is this good enough? Like, it's kind of like, not exactly are people going to like it, but it's sort of like, it's kind of like, I know what I'm doing, but am I good enough? Because actually, this kind of emphasizes what we said earlier, where it's like, whatever the talents that God gave you, it's like, you could sustain yourself in some, you could provide for yourself in some kind of way via that outlet. But you have to believe in yourself. You know what I mean? I mean, not overdo it where it's like, my painting is worth $20,000. It's just like being realistic. about what it is that you need. And also understanding your karma around money too, or like around like how you feel about money. I would definitely try something. And, you know, you also know, like, say you try something new. You know, okay, let's use this example. Say someone's like, oh, I want to get into pottery. I want to take a class on pottery. You don't go and buy yourself you haven't really done it before. You don't go buy yourself a $7,000 pottery wheel, you know, in a $10,000 kiln. You just take a class for free, or maybe you go get some from the art store and do it without any other tools besides you. I guess that's a part of it, is you have to understand that you are a tool. You actually have many tools: your body, your mind, your hands, your feet, your heart, your mouth. All of these things are tools, and how you use them, High Priestess, is what ends up being created. I would also say, who is like your artistic friend, or like your person that you can call or like talk to and be like, what do you think about this? You know, like someone that gives like constructive criticism could also be very helpful. If you can't tend to see the forest for the trees here, if this is you, then also remember diet, sleeping, habits, your morning routine, your night routine, things like this. Exercise, again, get some dance, spin around. You know, I'm seeing like the Sufi like spinners, right? If you also connect to animal spirit, that's another way for you to embrace some kind of energy, right? You can't force things to be, but you're actually getting your energy back. And let's move forward to close this out. December, we have the Princess of Fire, which actually represents transformation. Look at all this fire now that comes, right? And the fire that was before were 7 and 5, which are kind of a little bit challenging, but it's not out of your wheelhouse. It's in your wheelhouse, so you know how to deal with this. You also had the 2, which is the energy you're meant to keep this year, right? Pretty kind of even keel, right? Again, it's about, because these cards are all internal. So whatever this energy or whatever this was that you were trying to like manifest or create in your world, and this is also very spiritual too, in this physical dimension, then what happens is then you start to embody more of that, and you actually see her wings are kind of bound here, and now her wings are fully free because she's aligned. So I guess you're also learning something about what power is. Interesting. Okay, so there could be some kind of big... Well, she's the page, right? The princess. So this is something new. It's like you recalibrated yourself this year if you want to. Especially in your own element, in fire. What you need, right? You need to know your own fire. Whether this is your own courage, or how to control your anger, or your jealousy, or your creation, and remember that emotionally speaking, in the water world, if we're combining this with fire, which goes back into that temperance, it's like you need to have a good, we talked about this air earth, right, balancing out, and now it's, I guess what's happening is to understand, well, I guess your emotions are in your head sometimes, and again, this is like tweaking the knob, and I actually see that you end up with a lot of success here through that process. Yes, you do, but it's changing something in your mind. It's like rewiring something. You know what I mean? And actually, if we could talk about it in ways of Uranus is actually going through Aries astronomically. So that's huge. You know, wherever Aries is for you, Uranus is there, and this is a big, huge change. You know, it's and sometimes the change is scary. Sometimes it does mean we have to face things, think about things, but it gives us an opportunity to be able to change things mentally. Because Uranus is actually what gives us mental, like, anguish. You know what I mean? Which creates an instability emotionally. Now, this is a readjusting. Again, with it's being able to, again, did we talk about this, where it's just like being able to adjust it in a way that's more, it's like you can work with it better. You know what I mean? You're like little wheel, spin and spin. All right, big wheel, turn around and around. It's like you understand how it all connects. And because of that, you learn more about your own energy. The skill of that, which helps you to feel so much more steady and, like, I don't know what you've had to go through, or like what you do day to day. This also helps your relationships and the decisions that you make, and, you know, less worry about how things are going to be, like, go down, you know, because you're doing what you need to do and not sweating so much of, like, what you don't know, you know. Like, it's like having a plan and being able to rely on others that are in your life to, like, to love and be loved. Success. Look, you just end up with success and prosperity. Okay? 2 tens. There's earth and water. And then we have the star and the judgment card, 2 majors. Right? You had this reading a long time ago. It was like, your family's safe, Aries. You're safe. Have faith, have faith, have faith. I mean, you got to keep your eyes open when you're going down the river. But, interesting. Okay. Well, that's that, Aries. Hold on. I hope you have a wonderful 2023. You know, I always find when people have, like, deep readings, you know, it isn't all bubbles and sprinkles and sparkles and all this. Like, it means that you're getting really real. And what's cool about that is satisfaction. It means that there's a beautiful adjustment, right? And it's a great growth of faith. And remember, whenever a person reaches a place of clarity in themselves and intelligence and experience, then we have a test. You know, we have little tests, and you have 5s and 7s. These are having to do, for some of you, with your inner child. If you're going there, it also has to do with, you know, how you make decisions and how that connects to, again, your previous experiences. And then using that the most maturely, right? Mature, as my grandpa says. My nose just got all red. Yep. Because in a chariot year, it's about the two horses to me is reason and desire. And it's important to be the master of our own desires versus our desires being the master of us. You know, because instinctually, naturally, etc., we could be set up in certain ways to, again, at some point, it became like a little, just a path that we follow. It could be mentally, whatever. It's like these paths that we follow, but it's being more aware of what those are and then filling in the holes. Do you know what I mean? Not continuing to go down certain path, right? Going down the sidewalk and being like, nope, been here before, been there, done that. I'm not going to fall in that hole again, you know? And Capricorn's reading will be very inspiring, helpful. I also see Virgo. I guess it could be all the earth that could help you to feel stable too, okay? understand more about your energy in this, in your body, or like in this physical realm. Okay. I love you so much, Aries. Happy 2023. Thank you for 2022. I know it's been hard. It's been hard on you a little bit. I know. You, Sagittarius, it's Aquarius, it's been Cancer energy. It's all been kind of intense over the last few years, but now we're here, right? This present moment is very important. You know, don't let the past dictate your present. Don't let it interrupt the blessing and the possibility of the provisions that life is giving you. Okay? And remember, whatever it is that you need, want, etc., especially when it's in a way of a need, well, ask for it. Ask for what you need. And then realize that with all things in life, we have to trade. It's all, it has to be a trade. That's what makes it fair. Libra, you're opposite, right? So I guess also be aware of what you're needing to let go of. This loss card, maybe that's just a part of it. You know, for some of you, this could be purely, like in the most fundamental level, letting go of, you know, wherever it is where you don't feel loved. Or the way your mother treated you, or your ex-wife, or whether you are a wife, or how many children you have, or whatever. You know, again, maybe it's letting go of the thing you have to let go of is a mentality that only hurts you anyway, where you just fight in your own mind. Do you know what I'm saying? Letting go of that place where it's just like, love hurts. Remember, uncomfortability is a creation, is a tool, right? For a mother to have a child, it is uncomfortable to bring something into this life tangibly. It is uncomfortable. And that's cool, you know? Okay. Talk to you next time.